Hello, my name is Kate Semmens and I'm head of MFL at the Beaconsfield School. I've been here now about 2 years. In the last few years our department has actually doubled in size. So originally we had 2 members of staff. We have now got 4 members of staff. So we have 2 Spanish specialists and 2 French specialists. At the moment we have a Spanish A-level group. I would really like to have a French A-level group up and running for September. So we would really love to have some students come and join us. Studying A-level, students really get to grips with the linguistic skills, which of course is really important, being able to speak a language. In addition to that, the lovely thing about studying A-level is they really get to learn about the culture of French-speaking countries and Spanish-speaking countries. I'll just give you a bit of an idea now of how the course breaks down and some of the topics covered, because I think it's really important for you to hear that in order to make your decision. So both French and Spanish break down into 5 main areas. So the first area is social issues and trends. The second area is artistic and political culture. The third area is the grammar, which of course is really important. The fourth area is the literature and films that is studied, and the fifth area is an independent research project which forms actually part of their speaking exam. So I'm just going to talk you through now some of the topics within those sections so you can get a flavour for what the students will be studying, or what you will be studying. So social issues and trends. So in terms of the Spanish A-level that we currently have in the school, they start off looking at equal rights. So equal rights for gay and transgender people. They look at the issue of marriage, how that relates to the Catholic Church and the influence that the Catholic Church has on marriage and divorce. In addition to that, we look at the cyber society. Pros and cons of the internet, of social media, and we discuss those in target language. We then go on to look at multiculturalism, very important topic that comes into both French and Spanish as well. So we look at immigration, integration and racism, and we look at immigration from Spanish-speaking countries, French-speaking countries, and we look at some of the issues that arise from that. We then go on to look at the culture of both countries. So we look at cultural heritage in both countries. So for example, in France there's a big focus on the cinema. French cinema is a real cultural thing in France. Obviously you have the Cannes Film Festival every year as well. We look at that. In Spain, they study the food, the culture and traditions of the country, and we really get down to the real nitty-gritty at looking at culture. But it's not just in France and it's not just in Spain. So we're looking at South America. We look at Peru in terms of the Machu Picchu cultural heritage site, and in France we're looking at obviously a lot of the history and politics as well. So the second section really then that leads us on to politics and the artistic culture, so the political side of what's going on in both countries, particularly in Spain. Obviously there's a focus on Franco, the dictatorship and what happened there. And in France we look at a lot of what's been happening in post-war politics. So that's really covers all the topic areas that we study in French A-level and Spanish A-level. We then, obviously the focus then is on the grammar. So they obviously need to know the different tenses, they need to be able to express themselves in the language. So grammar forms a very important part of the course. We then look at the texts and the films that are going to be studied. So for example, our Spanish A-level students are currently studying La Casa de Bernard de Alba by Lorca, which is looking at sort of patriarchal society. and then they are studying a film called Voltaire as well. In French, I have a student actually this year who's studying with us, who came from another school, and she is studying L'Étranger by Camus, and the film she has chosen is La Haine, which actually won quite a lot of awards back in at the Cannes Film Festival in 1995. So there is a real diversity of the aspects of the course and what the students study. Probably the most important thing that you want to understand and you need to know at the end of it is how the course is examined. The course has 3 papers. The first paper is the listening, reading and writing paper. So students are expected to understand someone talking in the target language on a range of the topics that I've just mentioned. They will have to listen for gist, they will have to listen for detail. The questions will be in target language, they will be expected to answer in target language. In addition to that, on the same paper, they will have to read authentic texts and answer questions in target language. And finally, they will also be expected to do translation. Now, previously, translation wasn't on GCSE, so that was quite a challenging aspect of the course for students. However, now they are doing translation from target language into French or Spanish, and then French or Spanish into English. They have already had a lot of experience at that, so we're finding our students are more confident about that now, which is really, really good. The second paper are the novels and films that are studied. So they will write 2 essays. They will have a choice of 2 questions, and they will write 2 essays of 300 words. Now, they can either study 1 film and 1 novel, or they can study 2 novels, but we can't study 2 films. And we obviously have, as I mentioned, the ones that we were studying here for Spanish, we have a suggested list which the students can choose from, or the students and teachers will choose appropriate films and texts to be studied. So that's the second paper. The third paper is the speaking exam. Now, the speaking exam, the first part is stimulus cards, which they're very familiar with from the GCSE exam. There will be 2 cards, and they will choose 1 out of the 2 cards. There will be a photograph on the card, and that will form stimulus for a discussion in target language. They have 5 minutes to prepare for this, but they aren't actually allowed to use a dictionary, but they are allowed to have 5 minutes to prepare for this. Now, the second part of the speaking exam, which in total is about just over 20 minutes, is their discussion around their independent research project. So the independent research project can be on anything, a particular focus that a student is interested in on something that they have studied over the course. So maybe one of the topics, they might be particularly interested in Franco and the dictatorship, so they might want to do a research project on an aspect of that. So the student will come up with headings that will be shared with the examiner, whether that be the class teacher or an outside examiner. Currently we have an in-house teacher here for Spanish who does all the speaking exams himself. So they will form the discussion then of the research project. The benefits of doing A-level languages are huge. The skills you learn from doing independent research project, they really help your critical thinking skills, and whether you decide to go straight out into work or whether you decide you are going to take languages further and go to university, the skills that you will get from understanding different cultures and discussing them will be really beneficial as well for you in the workplace. Obviously, if you do decide to go on to university, then you have the opportunity to study languages, but not necessarily pure language courses. I myself didn't do a pure language course. I did French and European studies. Lots of students that I have taught in the past have done a language and something else. So at my last school, I taught A-level for 14 years, and over those years, I had students that did medicine with French. I had a student that wanted to be a doctor and work in France. I had a student that studied history in French. Lots of students like to do business studies in French. But most of the students I studied, not all of them, but the majority of them did actually go on after A-level and do a language as part of their degree. So I didn't have so many students that did it as a pure degree, because they weren't necessarily going to go into translating or something where they needed they needed that type of degree, but they all went on and did further study. So I really hope, because we would really love to have a group for French for next year, that you think about carrying on with your languages. As I said, we already have a fantastic Spanish A-level course running here very successfully, so we really hope that you will listen to all this information and go away and think about it. And if anybody would like to get in contact for more details, then please contact me at the Beaconsfield School. Thank you.